Welcome everyone to the final morning of the Oundle Festival of Literature's Kidlit Week. It is very exciting to be able to bring you these events by Zoom webinar. Today we have 9 local schools watching, so I'm going to say hello to all of you together and I'll picture you waving back at me. So good morning to you all. We are very fortunate to have a very successful and talented author joining us today in Oundle. Gareth P. Jones has written over 40 books, starting with the Dragon Detective Agency series back in 2007. He has won or been shortlisted for lots of prizes, including the first of the Dragon Detective Agency books, The Case of the Missing Cat, was awarded and shortlisted for the Waterstones Book Prize. The Thornthwaite Inheritance was shortlisted for 11 local book awards and won 7 of them. The Considine Curse was voted Blue Peter Book of the Year 2012. Gareth is also fantastic at playing lots of instruments and wonderful at writing songs about his books. So perhaps we'll get to hear some of them today if we're very lucky. And we're looking forward to welcome Gareth to Oundle. I'm sure he'll be joining us any second now.
I am trying to click. I'm trying to start. It's saying I can't start my video for some reason.
Oh, I'm sure
so
it
as
won't
soon as my
take
video
long.
comes on, no, my voice.
Don't worry,
Okay.
we can hear you are.
Okay,
Here you are. Fantastic. So I've done your introduction. I've built you up. It's going to be fantastic. So when you need me, just say the word questions and I'll come back and help you with the questions.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for having me. It's very nice to be with you. Hello, everybody. How are you? Excellent. What's that? Oh, right. Yeah, very nice to meet you too. So my name is Gareth. My name is Gareth P. Jones. And I know this because they've written it on the front of these books. There you are, so I can remember my name. And I'm going to start off then by telling you about, I was going to tell him about the Dragon. Start off with the Ninja Meerkats. No, I'm going to talk about the Dragon Detective Agency. That's what I'm supposed to be. Do the Ninja Meerkat rap. No, I was going to do the song for the Dragon. Okay, right, folks, I'm really sorry about this. I had a whole plan. I was going to start off with the Dragon Detective Agency, but Jet here, this is Jet. He is a Ninja Meerkat, and get them all to do a Ninja Meerkat sound. Oh, okay, fine. Well, a ninja goes like this. Ooh, could you all try and do that, please? Ooh. Yeah, everybody, please. Yeah, that's very good from Paul Brook. Well done. Try again. Yes, that's very good. Good. Yeah, I'm watching Copt Hill doing that. That's very good. Okay, right. And then try to do a meerkat thing. Could you all try and do that, please? And then you put those two things together. Ooh. Yeah, nice. Okay, that's your basic Ninja Meerkat. So get on with it. Okay, fine. Okay, so this is Jet. And Jet, as he featured, he looks like this on the front of the books. And this is my series, Ninja Meerkat, all about, well, Ninja Meerkats, and we're going to start off with a song to go along with those. There are 4 Ninja Meerkats. They are known as Jet, who you just met, Chuck, Donnie, and Zeus. Collectively, they are known as the Clan of the Scorpion or the Scorpion Clan. And so what we are going to do is we're going to do the song on this. I'm going to take my hat off, actually. We're going to take, it's just rattling up there. That's slightly annoying me. So we're going to start off with a song for the Ninja Meerkats. Ninja Meerkats are, as you would expect, short, fast, exciting books. And so they have a short, fast, exciting song. And when I say song, I mean rap. Now, you are going to help me with this. There are 4 Ninja Meerkats. And when I say, clap your hands for the Scorpion Clan, I need 4 short, precise claps like this. Let's try that now. Clap your hands for the Scorpion Clan. Excellent, very good. And when I say make some sound for the clans in town, I need your best kung fu sound effect, which is like this. Wah! That sort of thing, yeah. Wait for it. Make some sound for the clans in town. Wah! Excellent. Clap your hands for the Scorpion Clan. You got it, that's your bit. In case you're interested, this is a ukulele. It's a tenor ukulele. That doesn't mean it costs a tenor. It means it's slightly bigger than most ukuleles. And this is the Ninja Meerkat rap. If you're up against Juff, then you're out of luck, because he'll slice and he'll swipe and he'll chop it up. If you ask to fight Bruce, then you're better than Fuse, because he's rough and he's tough and you're bound to lose. They're the Scorpion Clan, they go from land to land, they fight from hand to hand, they do what they can, of course, man, I'm an evil man. So clap your hands for the Scorpion Clan. Nice. Make some sound for the clans in town. Ooh, yeah. Clap your hands for the Scorpion Clan. Good. Make some sound for the clans in town. Donnie's got the gadgets and world-line magic. If you're fighting him, then you know you've had it. And then there's Jay, he's the coolest yet. There's a Morbox and Norman, you won't forget. And the Ninja Meerkats, I know you hear that. The bad guys live and don't run sneer on the Ninja Meerkats. Here we go, folks. So clap your hands for the Scorpion Clan. Make some sound for the clans in town. Ooh, yeah. Clap your hands for the Scorpion Clan. And make some sound for the clans in town. Nice, I can see some of you dancing, excellent. Okay, now I've introduced you to the good guys. Now I'm going to tell you about the bad guys, because these are fighting books. And you can't have fighting books with just good guys. No, you need a bad guy too. The bad guy is called a Ringmaster. He's called the Ringmaster. He's an evil... Well, he's an evil Ringmaster. He's got an evil circus. He's trying to take over the world with his evil circus. You know, like you do. His verse goes like this. Only Ringmaster man has a master plan to control the world with his dance stage coming on circus clowns who will surround you, cause the fires in your eyes will sing and confound you. The ninjas arrive in the nick of time. The Kexo has the flat of the sky. Now it's time for them to burn time. Put your hands in the air and make it shine. So clap your hands for the Scorpion Clan. Yes. Make some sound for the clans in town. Clap your hands for the Scorpion Clan. And then make some sound for the clans in town. Big round of applause, yay, thank you very much. The way I will show the big round of applause is with this small pair of hands like this. Clap, 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 clap. They're not my hands, they're not my hands, they're just, it's weird, isn't it? A weird thing. Anyway, so that was an introduction to the Ninja Meerkat, but I have lots of books that I would like to tell you about this morning, lots of books I would like to introduce you to. There are 10 Ninja Meerkat books, but I have other series. After writing the Ninja Meerkat books, I went on to write another series called, he says, working out whether he's got the right piles of books. Yeah, yeah, Steampunk Pirates, all about robotic pirates. Pirates who are steam-powered pirates from the past. And then after writing that series, I wrote another series called Pet Defenders. Here are the Pet Defenders. The first one is called Attack of the Alien Dung. It's about sort of alien dung that lands and attacks. The second one is called Beards from Outer Space, which is about beards that are taking over people's faces. The third one, I haven't got the third one here. The third one is called Escape from Planet Bogey, which is about, well, you'd imagine, it's not the sort of book you want to read while you're eating. The fourth one is called The Revenge of the Atomic Burps, who are about shapeshifters. The fifth one is called Cheese from Dimension Pong. And the sixth was about smelly cheese from alien smelly cheese that's so smelly that it knocks you out. And then the sixth one is called Invasion of the Giant Nits, but I can't find a copy anywhere. I mean, there must be one somewhere around in this house, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'll have to phone up a bookshop and say, do you have a copy of the Invasion of the Giant Nits? J.R.R. No, anyway. What am I talking about? Oh, that's right. I'm referencing adverts from the 1980s about yellow pages for no particularly good reason. Let's move on. Let's get on to what I wanted to tell you about, which was the Dragon Detective Agency. Because as mentioned there at the beginning in my wonderful introduction, my first ever book looked like this. The Dragon Detective Agency, The Case of the Missing Cat. And because this book came out, it meant that I became an author. This was back in 2007, before you were born. Not before you were born, teachers. Before you were born, everybody else. And it came out, back then. And because of that, I felt so excited when it came out. And I found it in a shop. And I was like, oh, my book, it's in a shop. Like that. And that was nice. And that was 2007. And then over the years, I had lots of other books that came out. And then in 2015, this book stopped being printed. Oh, goodbye. which was sad, which is a sad thing until last year. Last year, a really happy, exciting thing happened, is this book came back. Oh, looks different. And as you can see, when we decided to republish it, we gave it a few differences. Let me do a spot the difference thing with the two books. There we are. Who can play spot the difference? I mean, it just looks totally different, doesn't it? We have the Dragon Detective Agency. We have the Dragon Detective. We have the Case of the Missing Cats. We have Catnapped. We have Gareth P. Jones. Oh, at least that's the same. My name is still the same. The cover looks different. The artwork looks different. The whole style of it looks different. If you were to open up and read the books, you would find mostly the words are the same, but not entirely. Because, of course, when a book comes out again, I get sent it back as a Word document, which means that I got to read it again and got to go, oh, that's good. And oh, I'm not so sure about that. And so I took the book and I worked on it and I made it, I hope, better when I republished it. All four books in the series have come back. Dragon Detective Catnapped is book number 1. Book number 2 is called Dragon Detective School's Out, which came out with a sort of eerie timing last year. Just when school was very much out, but there we are, School's Out, one of my favourite of the series. Book number 3 is called Sky High, which features some of my favourite dragons. It features sky dragons. Now, you've probably seen sky dragons because every time you ever look up and see a cloud in the shape of a dragon, and once you start looking, you see a lot of these things. You are looking at a sky dragon. So there you are. That's in book number 3. And book number 4, which wraps up the series, that's a wrap. And Dirk Dilly and his human counterpart, Holly Bixby, go off to America, go to Hollywood, where they go to try and solve a crime which involves a camera, a dragon has been caught on camera. So I'm going to do the song to that in a minute, but I was wondering whether first maybe I should tell you about how I got the idea. Yeah, let's do that. Because sometimes people ask me questions, and I know later on we're going to be doing some questions. And sometimes people, yeah, it is the Mandalorian, by the way. It's the Mandalorian t-shirt. I know a lot of you have been saying, he's wearing a Mandalorian t-shirt. It is, yeah, it is. Good series, you're quite right. Star Wars. Anyway, a lot of people ask me when they ask me questions, they say you get very distracted, don't you, about your t-shirt? No, right. No, they say, well, a lot of people when they ask me questions, they say, where do you get your ideas? And I like being asked that question. Not all authors do. Some authors sort of don't like being asked questions. I don't know why. So authors, maybe other people come up with their ideas for them. But no, with me, I like being asked that question because I find it quite interesting where ideas come from. And the idea for the Dragon Detective Agency, I will tell you a little bit about how I got the idea for this book, which then became these books. And the idea came from, I was sitting in my house, well, my flat at the time. This is my house. I moved house since then. And I used to live in a flat, and I used to live just up the hill, just about a mile in that direction, at the top of a hill in southeast London, which is where I live. And I was sitting here, by my window. It's a big window that went all the way down to the ground, and the sun used to come in. I always like that, sitting behind a window like a cat, all nice and warm with a window. And I was sitting there reading a book, and it was a detective book about this hard-nosed New York cop called Ari Cohen. And I was reading this book, and I was enjoying this book, and then I got distracted. As you know, I get very easily distracted. Yeah, Mandalorian. Baby Yoda, soft killed. Yeah, so I got distracted, and I got distracted out of the window. I saw a squirrel. And the squirrels, where I live, they live in the trees. Maybe it's the same with you too. Sorry, that was bugging me, that light there. I felt it was showing my age, that light. The other day, earlier on this week, I'll get back to the story in a minute. The other day, I was doing a session in a school, and kids often ask me, how old are you? But this week, he didn't stop there. He said, how old are you? Obviously quite old, maybe 50. I was like, yeah, stop the question there. 47. Anyway, right, yeah, back to the story. Yeah, so there I was, reading my book, getting distracted by squirrels. The squirrels where I live in the trees. Maybe it's true there in Oundle. Maybe they live in the trees. And the squirrels, they would jump from the trees to the flat roof of the building where I live. And then when a squirrel jumps, its tail wags like this. Not, I have to look more like a bird than a squirrel, Gareth. I'm not sure about your squirrel miming. Any feedback on today's session? Yeah, the squirrel miming looked more like a bird. Anyway, so the squirrel jumped over from the tree to the flat roof, and the reason they were jumping is because they were going down to the bins, and the bins is obviously where we keep our rubbish, but it's where, as far as the squirrels are concerned, there is a source of food. And so the squirrels would go down and run across the garage roofs, jump over the walkway, and then go down into the bins. And they would always work in pairs, these squirrels. One would go foraging for food, and the other one would stay on top, keeping watch. Famous like a ninja meerkat, like that. And they were keeping watch. I don't know what they were watching out for. I mean, the magpies seemed to bug them occasionally. I think there's as a general sort of turf war between. Anyway, so he was keeping watch, and then I saw a neighbour of mine, not anybody I knew, not somebody I knew by name. He was taking his 2 bags of rubbish to the bins, which, if you don't know, is the most boring thing you can ever do in life. And he was like this. Now, I was watching this. I was watching him do this, and the squirrel who was on watch saw him coming, and he warned his squirrel friend with a secret squirrel code. Caca! What are you doing? I'm doing the secret squirrel code, so you get out of the bin. We have to run away. I don't think caca is a thing the squirrel would say. I don't think, listen, don't worry about the specifics. Just get out of the bin. Okay, fine. Right, so the 2 squirrels, they made their getaway. And the way they could get out, the only way to get back to the trees was to go over the walkway where the man was walking. So the man was walking like this. I'll do it slow motion this time. And the squirrels jumped. Right, so that's what happened. Basically, I mean, that's a very long-winded way of saying 2 squirrels jumped over a man's head. But the thing is the man didn't notice. He didn't see a thing. Whereas the squirrels, so he had a moment of nothingness. The squirrels had this moment of excitement and danger, and I had a little moment of inspiration. Because there I was watching this, and I'd just been reading my detective book, and I thought, isn't that interesting? I like the idea there's something going on above our heads. Something, we're so busy with the sort of everyday mundanity of life that we're not, we don't notice these things. If we were to stop and look and wonder, we may notice them, but we don't. And instead they just happen above our heads. And I thought, yeah, maybe I can use that. And I took that squirrel. I didn't actually grab a squirrel. It's very hard to catch squirrels these days. So I took that squirrel and I planted that squirrel. I didn't actually do this to a squirrel, metaphorically. I took the squirrel and I used him as a metaphorical seed, and I poured my imagination on him, and I grew that squirrel until he became a 4-meter long, winged, green-bellied, red-backed, urban-based mountain dragon. Yes, I turned that squirrel into a dragon, and I decided, if the dragons are jumping from rooftop to rooftop, why would they be doing that? And I looked at my detective book and I thought, because it's a detective. And that's how I came up with Dirk Dilly, the dragon detective, jumping from rooftop to rooftop in the streets of London, but he goes out further than London in the other books, and solving crimes. And of course, he would run the Dragon Detective Agency, and if you had a problem, you'd phone up the Dragon Detective Agency, and you would not know that the person on the end of that phone is an actual live fire-breathing dragon. Right, we are going to do the song now. This is the song I meant to start with until Jet interrupted me. That's the thing about these interruptions. They come along, and then I never know where they're going to come and what direction they. Oh, hello. Okay. This is a dragon egg. Would you like to? I mean, we're going to do the song. Do you want to see the dragon? You want to see the dragon egg, don't you? Okay. Maybe if you could all just shout "roar" like that to get the dragon to come out. Yes. Okay. Slightly louder than that. Oh, yeah, that's it. There we go. Nice. Oh, can you see him? Is he coming out? So that might be a bit camera shy. I mean, it looks like he's only just hatching for the first. Oh, there we go. Oh, look at that. Excellent. Okay, so this is you're waving to them. This is baby dragon. You don't have to wave back. No, seriously, you don't have to wave back to him. This is baby dragon. You can't see them. No, it's like that. Yeah, we've had quite a few shows there where we couldn't really see the audience quite often because It wasn't a nice audience, was it? Anyway, so yeah, so yeah, stop waving. They're not waving back. So yeah, this is Baby Dragon. And can I get on with the song now? Yes. Okay. Fine. Right. So the song that I'm going to play, I started off on the ukulele. I'm now going to play the piano. This is the piano. There is a piano down here. Just so you know, it's not a recording. What I'll do is I'll make lots of mistakes throughout the song, so you know I'm not cheating. I mean, you can look if you want to look. There's a piano there. Look. Okay, fine. And this is how it goes. Once again, I'm going to need your help with this song. I need you to sing along. And yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can. If you've got a problem, big or small, a mystery to solve, and you don't know who to call, take my advice, yeah, listen to me. Call the Dragon Detective Agency. Sing. So sing with me. See, lots of mistakes, just so you know it's live. So you go like this. La la la. Yeah. Hey, hey, hey. Scooba dooba dooba. Hiddy-biddy-bop. Yeah. It's run by a dragon called Ukiulele. You can call him anytime, but don't call him silly. He lives in London in an upstairs flat with a landlady who's as blind as a bat. What do you think about that? You go, ah, yeah. You go, hey, yeah. You go, no, no, no. You go, scooby-dooby-dooby. I'm talking Ukiulele, the dragon detective, is so effective when he's detecting. The cat's got snaps and that's a fact. Gonna take a true detective to bring the monkeys back. Jumping roof to recover the clues and then cover the clues to discover the proof that the king horns rising. Ukiulele flies in. Watch out, Topper coming over the horizon. And Canatic of the licorice for nothing and the shade. A good dragon who lives into the city. So going down in old and down. Got a cage to crack and a crate full of kitties. Try this. Heedy, heedy, hee. Ha da ha da ha. Holy, holy, ho. Ra da da. Go yeah ho. You go oh no. You go ah splat. You go this is the end of the song. Oh, right, okay, fine. That's the end of the song. Once again, usually that song ends with the end of the song, and then a pause, a slightly awkward pause, and then a massive round of applause. Yeah. There you go, massive round of applause. Okay, fine. Right. So, where was I now? I have told you about the Ninja Meerkats. I have told you about the Dragon Detectives. I have mentioned some of my other books. But we have a wide range of different ages here. I tell you what, I'd really like to. I will get onto the thing that I'm supposed to be telling you about. But I really want to mention my new picture book. My new picture book is called Rapunzel. And this came out only a couple of weeks ago. It's written yet again by me, Gareth P. Jones, and it is beautifully, amazingly illustrated by Loretta Shower. That's how you say that name, Shower. And as you can see, it is about a rabbit with extremely long ears. And I thought I'd mention this because once again, maybe we should just be talking about where you get ideas from, because I imagine that you have some fantastic ideas for stories. And I imagine your ideas, your imagination gets sparked by all sorts of things, maybe from reading books, maybe reading my books, maybe from watching TV and watching films, maybe from playing with your friends. And one great way to get ideas is from your toys. When I was young, when I was your age, I used to write about my toys. I had a toy called He-Man, the Masters of the Universe. And the thing is about He-Man is when the He-Man came out, he was a toy, but there wasn't a cartoon. The cartoon came a little bit later. There was a kind of confusion with the way it's quite a complicated story. It's a whole documentary on Netflix about it, but you're probably not interested in that. Anyway, so I used to write stories about my toy He-Man, and then of course my children, who I can hear thumping around upstairs, I'm hoping are not entirely destroying the house, so my children have toys as well, and so I get lots of ideas from playing with my children, talk to my children, but also from their toys. And I'll just quickly tell you about Rapunzel before I get on to the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, which is the other books, because it might inspire you about writing your ideas. My daughter, a few years ago, she had a birthday, and she always has a birthday every year, and she had one of those birthdays, and my brother decided to take her to a Build-A-Bear workshop where you can build your own bear, and she chose her bear carcass and stuffed it, although she didn't choose a bear, she chose a rabbit, and then she put it in some clothes, and we ended up with this. Yeah, that. And as soon as I saw that, a overstuffed bunny in a princess dress, I thought, what we have here is Rapunzel. And as soon as I came up with the word Rapunzel, I came up with the words, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your ears. And as soon as I had that catchphrase, I knew I had a good idea for a book. And then thankfully, I found a publisher who also agreed it was a good idea. So that came out. But the thing I want to talk to you about before we go to the Q&A, before we go to some of the questions, I know lots of you have asked questions, and I'm looking forward to answering those, is I wanted to tell you about some of my other older, stranger, darker, more sinister books, because as you can see, I write a wide range of books. I write picture books, I write adventure books, I write silly books. I wrote a joke book once. Let me show you the joke book down here. Look, you got a joke book. Look, it's got my name on it. It's a joke book full of jokes. I'm very pleased with this joke book. A lot of people love it. Some people say this is just full of dad jokes, and I find that personally offensive to dads. Okay, but now we're going to tell you about these slightly stranger, older, darker books, because we have, as mentioned, I did win the Blue Peter Book of the Year 2012 for this book, The Considine Curse, or The Considine Curse, depending on how you say it. And this is about a girl called Mariel, there she is, and she has 7 cousins, and you can see them on the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, where's the other one? Ah, there's the other one. 7. She has 7 cousins. I have 7 cousins as well, and but my cousins aren't quite as sinister as her cousins, because they are holding a secret, a dark family secret, and that secret is in this book, so you have to read it to find out what it is. The other books I wanted to mention, I've got a book called Constable and Toop, which is a ghost story set in Victorian London. The name Constable and Toop, a lot of these book titles over the years I've discovered are too difficult to remember, and I should give them simpler titles. This one, I got the title entirely from a shop near me, about 100 meters in that direction. There's a shop called Constable and Toop, and I say shop, it's an undertaker's. And so, and when I decided I liked the name Constable and Toop, I took it and I wrote it down, and I started to think, well, who are these people? Who is Mr. Constable and who is Mr. Toop, and what is going on? And I came up with a Victorian ghost story about this boy called Sam Toop, who can see and hear and talk to ghosts. Which one? Yes, and then the more recent one of these, which I think I've got better with titles, is this one called Death or Ice Cream. Everybody remembers that title. Everybody remembers that cover. This is a beautiful illustration by Adam Stour, who did a lot of my book covers there. And it's a very strange book. Not for everyone, really. It's sort of short stories that intermingle and become sort of become a novel as you read it. And what we might do is we might finish off with that song after the Q&A session. But I just want to tell you about these ones, because people sometimes say to me, what's your most popular book? What's your most successful book? Which book has made you the most money? This book has so far been my most successful book. It is called The Thornthwaite Inheritance. And if I could go back in time, I would change the name, because nobody remembers that name. Nobody, even its most ardent fans, don't spell the name right. Nobody says the name right. What I should have done is I should have called it what most people call it, is that book about the pair of twins trying to kill each other. People always say to me, Gareth, you know that book about the pair of twins trying to kill each other? And I say, yeah, The Thornthwaite Inheritance. And they go, yeah, that one, the book about the... Anyway, so that's what this is about. It's about Lorelei and Ovid Thornthwaite. And over the years, this one has been so popular that I decided to go back to Thornthwaite Manor and write a book that I should have called that other book about the pair of twins trying to kill each other, or possibly that book about the pair of twins who are no longer trying to kill each other, or are they? But they'd be quite long titles, wouldn't they? So I think maybe what I should do, I think before we go to your questions, is I'm going to read you a little bit of this. Then we're going to do the song, and then we'll go through the questions, and we will make sure we fit in time to do one final song before we finish. So I'm going to read you the opening to this, and it goes like this. The truce. Lorelei and Ovid Thornthwaite have been trying to kill each other for so long that... I'll start again. Lorelei and Ovid Thornthwaite have been trying to kill each other for so long that neither twin could remember which act of attempted murder came first. Was it Lorelei's cunning scheme to put on a play about the French Revolution, casting Ovid in the role of an aristocrat to be executed using a working guillotine? Or could it have been that long, hot summer when Ovid managed to produce a small but deadly explosive in an ice lolly triggered by the surrounding ice reaching melting point? Whoever had struck first, trying to take each other's life, was now simply something the Thornthwaite twins did, in the same way that other brothers and sisters might play together, enjoy watching cartoons, or squabble over the remote control. Except that compared to playing, watching cartoons, or squabbling, trying to kill your twin is much harder work, not to mention illegal. Which is why on their 13th birthday, having clocked up over 200 murder attempts between them, Ovid suggested they call a truce. "I no longer want to kill you," he announced, his bottle green eyes meeting his sister's across the table. "I've never wanted to kill you," replied Lorelei. "I've only ever acted out of self-defense." 2 slices of birthday cake sat in front of them. Neither had been touched. Ovid smiled. "Whether self-preservation has always been my motivation," he said, "and as you were the last one to attack, I propose we call it quits." "I wasn't the last one to attack," stated Lorelei, pushing her straight black hair from her face. "What about the flesh-eating piranha in my bath?" "That was on Sunday. You booby-trapped my bed on Monday." "No, I'd been working on that for months. I couldn't let all that planning go to waste." Ovid remembered with pride how he'd set up a device in his sister's bedroom that was designed to fling the first thing to sit on the bed out of the window. Lorelei's bedroom was at the top of the central spire of Thornthwaite Manor. "Poor Carol had the fright of her life," said Lorelei. Ovid had forgotten that the cat liked to jump on the bed for snooze sometimes. "Cats have 9 lives," he said. "We only have 1. It doesn't matter who started it if we both agree to stop now." Lorelei eyed him suspiciously. She did not trust her brother for 1 second. He'd tried this tactic before, waiting for her to lower her guard before unleashing the next lethal scheme. "I mean it this time," he said, wearing an expression of deepest sincerity. "Okay," she said finally, deciding she would go along with the ceasefire while remaining sensibly cautious. "Truce, truce," repeated her brother, grinning. They leant forward and shook on it before sealing the deal with 2 slices of cake, which they switched 14 times before eating, ensuring that neither piece had been tampered with. Now that's how this book begins, The Thornthwaite Inheritance. Like I say, over the years, it has gained quite a few fans. Last year, somebody who read it when she was, young and is now a bit older. Last year, she put on this musical in Australia. She's an Australian fan of the book, and she gathered her friends around, and she got a theatre, and she put on this massive musical, all based on it, which you can find somewhere on YouTube. It's extraordinary, thing to have achieved, particularly during a pandemic when quite a lot of theatres were closed. But yes. What am I doing? Oh yeah, that's right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the song for the Thornthwaite Inheritance. I'm not going to do it on the piano because I'm going to do this on the ukulele. And the song, actually, I did used to do a song for the Thornthwaite Inheritance called 50 Ways to Kill Your Brother, but Paul Simon started trying to sue me. So, no, he didn't really. And so now I'm going to do the song for this one, which is called They're Back, because in the Thornthwaite Betrayal, they are now 14 years old, and they are back. And with this one, you don't need to go, "Whoa, yeah," or "Howdy, howdy, ha." All you need to do in this one is count how many ways of dying are mentioned in this song. They're back. They're back by unpopular demand to execute the plans that they planned. But you really must understand. So start counting now. They might drown in a river or fall down a mine, drive off a cliff because someone took the sign, hit by a hammer or a fallen rock, strangled by a scarf or blown up by an exploding sock. They're back. Killer dealers dressed to the hilt. They're not the kind of kids to feel guilty, in spite of their most obvious guilt. Keep counting. What was it? If I get shot by an arrow or a flying plate, run over by a train running half an hour late, are slowly poisoned of a wig, or pierced by a parakeet's poisonous beak. Attacked by a leopard or attacked by a bear, one little puss at the top of the stairs, or itty bitty bites from the deadly red ants. The Geiger counter that is in your trousers clicks and ticks and indicates you're wearing radioactive pants. Mushed up, crushed up, thrown overboard and washed up, smash, crash, flash, bash, put in a car going too fast, hit, bit, quietly lit, chopped into little bits, dismembered, ill-fated, shock-weighted, cremated, blown up and deflated, you'll be annihilated. They're back. They're back. They're back. The Thornthwaite twins are back. Thank you very much. And thank you to my daughter, who I can see here spying on me from behind that door and shouting things out. Everyone say hello to my daughter. Hello, daughter. Right, so I'm guessing her homeschooling Zoom has finished. And she is now roaming about, wondering what to do with herself. Go and do something with yourself. Right, okay, right. So in a second, we're going to go to questions. But I thought maybe actually she's on a piano. Maybe I should play Harry Potter. No, not really. Oh, maybe I play this. So I think I was at a piano. I should explain about the music, because I didn't really explain it. I'm just sort of saying, hi, I'm Gareth. Here are my books. Here are my songs. Not all authors write songs for all of their books. Not all authors do this. I feel, don't, next time you meet an author, don't say to them, unless it's John Doherty or something, don't say to them, where's the song for your book? Because a lot of them will say, oh, I've got one, I haven't got one. But with me, it's part of my process. When I sit down to write a book, I'm already thinking, what does it sound like? What does it feel like? What's the texture of this book? And so, as you know, now you've met me a bit, you know that some of my books are short, fast, and exciting, like the Ninja Meerkat books and the Pet Defender books. And so they have songs that try to reflect that. They've all got songs. And sometimes I use those songs the music in order to help write it. When I was writing this book, The Considine, which is about this girl here, Mariel, and she's having a weird time. And I decided, well, I didn't decide, the book decided it wanted to be written in the first person. You may know, the third person is when you're writing about he, she, and they, and you're the narrator, and I like that. That appeals to me, my sense of control. The first person is I. The second person is you. I've got books coming out later this year in the second person. This one's in the first person, so I had to try and get into her mindset, into her shoes, to try and write that book. And so what I did, as I do, is I used music. So when I was writing that book, I wrote a melody went like this. And I would use that tune in order to help me try and write the book. Now, I think what we'll do now is we're going to go to your questions. I know you've got lots of questions to ask me, so Helen's going to come back on. And I'm going to ask my daughter to stop making funny noises. Do you need anything? Are you all right? Okay, she's gone. Hello, Helen.
Hello. Right, we've got lots of questions from some of the schools that are watching. And the first is from Stanion School, and it's from Ava S. I'm saying Ava S because they also have an Ava H in the class.
Yes.
So Ava S says, how did you feel when your first book was published?
Well, this is a very good question. When I first wrote this, I only wrote the first 3 chapters. And then I forgot about it. because I wasn't an author and I didn't have to finish it, and I didn't finish it. And then it was my wife who read the first 3 chapters, and she said, you should send this off. And eventually she persuaded me, and I sent it off to a lady called Sarah, who worked for a company called Bloomsbury. And Bloomsbury were in the middle of publishing this series of books that you might have heard of. They're called the Harry Potter books. And Sarah was publishing those books, and then she read my first 3 chapters, and she liked them so much that she asked me to write 2 books, which was nice and was good because I hadn't written anymore. So then I wrote the rest of the book. And when I got the email from Sarah, it's a very strange email, because the email is really apologetic about how small the advance is, how little money they were going to give me to write these books. But essentially it was saying, we would like to publish your books. It was the most exciting email I ever had. So then I was really excited. I was at work when I got the email. I was working for, and apologies to the young people who have no idea what I'm talking about, and apologies to the old people who do know what I'm talking about. I was working for Richard and Judy at the time. So you can imagine, I've got Richard Madeley there, getting all excited about something, and I've got Judy going, walking past. He never wanted to get stuck behind Judy in the corridor. It's a very slow walk. And so I was sitting there in the office, and I got the email, all excited about it. I told my friends I was all excited. I told my colleagues I was all excited. And I thought, I'll phone up my parents. And whenever you phone up your parents, you always want to get through to your mum, don't you? And I got to phone up your parents, and my dad answered the phone. I was like, hello, hi Gareth. And I said, hi Dad. I thought, well, Dad's, I might as well tell him. I said, Dad, I'm going to have my book published. And he went, right, well, what's that about then? And I said, it's about a dragon, Dad. And he went, you don't know anything about dragons. I know loads more about dragons than you do. And I said, Dad, can I speak to Mum? As I go. So yes, I felt very excited. And I felt even more excited when it came out and when I found it at the shop. Excellent question. Let's go to the next one.
Okay, Oundle Primary. And this is a question from Riley class. Do you ever get writer's block? And if so, how do you overcome it?
Oh, now this is a good question. I used to say there's no such thing as writer's block, but then you get writer's block, and then you go, oh yeah, there is. But I suppose what it is, writer's block is when you're stuck, when you don't know what to do, or you don't know what to write. And the way I overcome it is I go and do something else. If I'm stuck with a particular chapter, I'll just go and play the piano, or I'll try and do that thing that I was just describing there, where I'll think, well, what does this book sound like? Does this book sound like this? Or does it sound like that? Or does it sound like this? I don't know. And then I will sit there, and so that's part of my process. So and so I'll go and play one of my as you say, I have a lot of instruments, some of which are around here, some of which aren't. And so I've got a lot of instruments. I'll go and play one of those instruments, do it else. Or I'll draw a picture, or I'll try and solve the problem with writing. So if you don't know what's going to happen next in your story, it means you haven't answered a question. And quite often it means you haven't asked the right question. And half the time it's trying to work out what's the right question. And you think the question is what's going to happen next, but that's not the right question. The question is, why is that man's hair purple, or something like that. And you go, oh, it's purple because the aliens made it purple, because the man's trying to, and then you solve it that way. So it's about finding the right questions. And that was a good question. Next question.
This is a question from Tabitha from Glapthorne. Similar sort of subject. What is your writing process? Do you plan first or just start writing?
Well, if you can write with a plan, I would highly recommend you write with a plan. It's a very good way to do it. I don't do that. I sometimes do some planning along the way, but mostly I plan while I'm writing. I do my first draft writing, he says. Oh, there we are. Okay, so my first draft writing looked a bit like this. That's my first draft writing. This is, as you can see, there's little arrows and lots of crossings out and all that, lots of mistakes. So this is how I write. And so if you were to try and read this, one, you would say, this is very hard to read after you have very bad writing. Two, this is not very well written, Gareth. You have a lot of problems with this if you're trying to read this. You would say quite often the characters seem to change names halfway through the chapters. That's confusing, Gareth. But it doesn't matter as I'm trying to work out what their names are. It doesn't matter because I'm capturing the essence and the excitement of the story at this point. And then after that, I know that I'm going to redraft it and make it better. It's one of those things teachers will tell you. Teachers will say editing is very important. And I'm here to, unfortunately, have to say, yeah, I'm entirely right. Editing is the most important aspect of writing. So I wish I worked with a plan. Well, so actually, no, I sort of don't. When I was writing the Ninja Meerkats, they, for some reason, the publishers then, they insisted on me sending a chapter breakdown, so a proper full plan for each book. And so I would do that. And as soon as I had a chapter breakdown telling me what's going to happen, I couldn't really be bothered to write the book, because my whole point of writing is that I want to find out what's going to happen. And if I know what's going to happen, I know who's going to be the baddie and how it's going to happen. Who cares? So I want to find it out through the writing. I want to find, and if you do that, it means you can sort of surprise yourself. And if you can surprise yourself, and if your book can surprise you, then there's a good chance it will surprise your reader, and it will keep your readers on their toes. Excellent question.
Okay. So next we have Juliet from Copt Hill School, and she asks, which character from your books is most like you?
Which character from my books is most like me? Or hopefully none of them. When my first ever book that the first book that I ever wrote, which didn't get published, because the first two books I wrote that didn't get published, one was an adult book that was too childish, and the other was a children's book that was too adult. It took me a while to get the balance right. And in the first one, there was a character which was the kind of me character, and I became so resentful of that character, how annoying they are. I mean, I like being me. I'm just not sure I'd want to be married to, you know what I mean? My wife says it's okay, but I'd rather be me than be, than be married to me. But that's a weird thought, isn't it? Anyway, but yes, which character is most like me? I'm still fudging this question, so I don't know. I'll tell you which book I'll tell you instead, because I can't answer that question. I'm going to tell you which book I feel like most reflects my worldview. And it's going to sound strange, but this book, Death or Ice Cream, is set in a fictional town, Larkin Mills, where there is an awful lot of death and quite a lot of ice cream. And where, there's not, the biggest fear isn't, it's ingrowing toenails, it's ingrowing personalities. And where, if you don't want to know anything anymore, you can have your memory removed by somebody, and anyway, there's all sorts of weird surreal things that go on in this book, but it's very me. It feels like my world more completely than the other ones where they're sort of created worlds, I think. That's a terrible answer to a very good question. Next question, please.
Okay, we've got one from Laxton Junior School now, from Lucy. And Lucy's obviously read The Thornthwaite Betrayal. So I don't understand this question, but hopefully you will.
Oh, no, I won't says, the answer.
At the end, Lorelei is writing a story. Is this the actual book?
Oh, now that would be clever, wouldn't it? Right? What was the name of the person who asked that?
Lucy from Laxton Junior School.
I am guessing that Lucy also writes stories then, because she seems to have a good understanding. I hope she does. Lucy, I hope you do write stories. And that's a very clever question. No, it's not quite that. It's not quite that meta, but it's a funny thing you should ask that, Lucy, because at the moment I am editing a book that I wrote last year in November and December. I wrote it first draft. It came quite quickly, this book, and it came straight not into my pad, it came straight onto my computer, and I typed it out, and it's about 50,000 words, and it's about a genie, and I have no idea whether this book's ever going to get published. Quite often I go to schools, I talk about books, and I'm writing this, and I have to say, look, it may never come out, but I'm reading it at the moment, I'm editing it at the moment, trying to make it better. And what Lucy just described there, sort of, that is part of the story. Some of the chapters you're reading are also some of the chapters that your character is reading, and I'm just trying to work out how I can do that in a way which is just confusing enough, not too confusing, not too unconfusing, but just the right level of confusing. Occasionally I may have strayed. I've got a book called No True Echo, which I think I left in the kitchen. But I've got a book called No True Echo, which is a time travel story, and some people will tell me is too confusing, but other people say it's confusing in a good way. So we'll see. Okay. Sorry, next question.
Okay, so Zara from Polbrook School says, "What is your favourite place to write that inspires you?"
Well, I mean, asked me that, last year, asked me that the year before, asked me that this year. This year, which of these rooms is available? So my preferred way of writing, that always was, and I don't know what will happen, whether it will return in quite the same way, is what I would like to do is I would like to leave the house and sit on a bus or sit on a train, and I would sit on a bus and I would write away, partly because if I'm on a bus, it's sort of taken me away from the distractions of Twitter and things. And it means that I have a certain amount of time before I get to the stop that I have to get off. So I have like, 40 minutes, and I have to get the chapter done in 40 minutes. If you're sitting on a train, I used to love, and I always love visiting. And it's a shame, it's a shame I couldn't be with you there in person, because in other circumstances I would have been there talking to you all live. Well, it is live, but talking to you in person. And then I would have got on a train on the way back, and I would have loved the event. I would have loved getting to meet you, and we would have had loads of fun signing books and all that. And then I would have sat on the train, and that's always a lovely moment where I was like, I've done all that, I've done all my songs, I've done all my showing off, and then I'll be there on the train, just me and the train and the computer, and I would carry on with my work, and I would have a certain amount of time to do before I got home for tea. So that's how it was. I used to like doing it while traveling. And the thing is about when you're writing while you're moving is there's always something to spark your imagination. You look out the window and you see the name of a street and you go, oh, that's good, I'll have that as a character name. Or you see the name of a shop and you go, oh, I'll have that. Or you see, or you hear a conversation, you go, oh, okay, I'll have that. And you steal and you borrow from the outside world. And the way that I write is I try to make sure that everything that happens to me in life affects and infects my writing, and that's my preferred way of writing. And again, it's about sort of making sure that the story you're writing is unexpected and interesting. And if suddenly something enters it because it enters your world, then that's able to do that. So when that was removed from me, that ability, and my favorite place to write had to be like either the writing room at the back, which if you've ever seen any of this, the music stuff that I do on YouTube, that's all happens in the back room over there, slightly too far away from the router to do these events. Or I'd go and sit in the kitchen, or I'd go upstairs. So the way that I try and keep that stimulus alive is that I do use, I interact with the world through social media. And so with the book that I was just talking about, the Genie book, every time I needed a character name, I simply went, hi Twitter, I need the name for a horse. And then everybody goes, I've got a name for horse, I've got a name for horse, I've got a name for horse. And then I've got like a million names for horses. And then I go, yep, I'll have that one, I'll have that one. And so all of the names that went into that book, they all came from various suggestions there. And then the other thing I've done, because there aren't as many school visits, I love visiting schools. I love all of this sort of stuff. What I would used to do, I did it, I'm going to give you an example with this one. I did this series for Rising Stars. This is sort of school reader books. And in this one, Project Time, these are all, the idea for these books, again, this is quite a good one for you to come up and use your ideas, is a very simple premise for all four of these books. Ordinary child, ordinary problem, extraordinary solution. And in this one, the girl Eva, she's got too much going on. She plays football and dance class and cabinet, and so she's in book club as well. She doesn't have time to do all those things, so she has to solve it. And so I was writing this book, and while I was writing this book, I was in a school, and I was talking to the school about football, because I said, I'm not a big football, apologies to football fans there, I'm not a big football fan, and I'm not a girl, and I've never played football, and so I just need to ask about how things would work. And so I was asking various questions of these year fives. And then this girl came up to me while I was waiting for the book signing, and she said, excuse me, author, which is what people always call me when I go to author, and I say yes. And she said, are you going to do that? You're going to do that story about the football? And I said, yes. She said, you're going to write about the boys? And I said, what? And she said, because I'm in the girls' football team, and whenever we practice in the pen, there's a group of boys who gather around to shout out nasty things and sexist things, and girls can't play football. And I said, oh, does that happen? She said, yes, it does. And I said, thanks, can I have that? She said, yes, you can. That's what that book is now. So I threw out what I was doing, and I just took that idea and I was like, I'll have that, yeah. And so, in order to keep that going, I've started running creative writing courses as well. So I've got them each week. I meet up with a group of writers and we discuss our ideas. Writers aged 8 to 12, and we all discuss what we're writing. And as all the teachers know here, there is no greater resource if you're wanting to spark your imagination than a room full of children. Next question, please.
Okay, so one from Titchmarsh School from Lucy M. How did it feel to get the Blue Peter Prize with the Constantine Curse?
It felt wonderful. It was it popped up on my memories on Facebook the other day, and it was there me standing in the Blue. They were filming the Blue Peter, not in the studio that time. They were in a library in Manchester. It was wonderful. It was really nice. I mean, it was nice to get an award. It was nice to get an award. It was nice to be on TV. I spent a lot of time working on TV on the other side of the camera, and it's easier. The people in front of the camera, it's a much easier job than the people behind the camera, just so you know. Just so you know, Dermot O'Leary, much easier for him than it is for Dermot O'Leary's poor, long-suffering producer. So yes, it was really nice to be. It was really nice to be on TV and do that. And I've been back on Blue Peter a few times since then, which is always nice. Should we do one final question and finish with a song? Does that sound right?
Okay, yeah. So this is a question from Ruby from Kingscliff, and she sounds a little bit worried. And she says, "Is it a good idea to have a fire-breathing dragon as a good character? What happens if you accidentally set fire to somebody?"
Yeah, read chapter 1. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, in chapter 1 he does accidentally set fire to his office. That's how it starts. That's how the whole series begins. So no, it's not a good idea. Health and safety wise, nightmare. Maybe I wouldn't have got away with it in this day and age if I'd written the idea. I don't know. Certainly when I came to update it, I had to think about some of the health and safety issues. Also, because of the idea, if you read that first chapter, I read it back recently for an event, and I realised that I spend the whole time I don't once mention that he's a dragon during that first chapter. I thought, that's weird. I'm sure I would. If I was writing it now, I'm sure I would write. I'd mention that he's a dragon, but you get that he's a dragon. You infer that, you get it from the writing, but I don't mention it explicitly. But yeah, but the idea is that he's kind of he drinks neat orange squash, and there's always smoke drifting up. So he was sort of like my idea of a sort of noirish detective, or who would always in the old films be smoking, which is a terrible thing to do. But of course, the dragon smoking is fine because they literally smoke comes out of their nostrils. So I thought we would finish with a song. Helen, what do you think? I'm going to give you the choice of which one we finish with. We can either finish with Death or Ice Cream, or if you're too scared about that, we can finish with the song for the Pet Defenders. Which one would you like to go for, Helen?
Well, I think I know which one a lot of the school kids would go for, and I'd say Death or Ice Cream.
Death or Ice Cream wins. Okay. Ukulele or piano?
Piano.
Piano, okay. Okay. Death or ice cream? Which one, my friend? I said to the waiter, which do you recommend? The waiter replied, I'm sure I can't say, but I'll tell you my thoughts about that anyway. Ice cream's refreshing and melts on your tongue. It's sweeter than death, but it won't last as long. Ice cream is perfect for ending a meal, but if you want endings, death's the real deal. The thing is with ice cream is you don't have to eat it, but you can't deny death. You can fight but not beat it. It won't come with sprinkles or strawberry sauce. Death's not a pudding, it's your final course. I looked at the waiter and then understood when I noticed the scythe, the cloak and the hood. It's time for the bill, said his calming voice, and I knew death or ice cream wasn't a choice. And so now you all got like this, death or ice cream. Everybody now, death or ice cream. And again, death or ice cream. Would you sell your soul for an ice cream? How can that be wrong? A soul is an abstract concept anyway, and sorbets taste good on the tongue. The man who's asking is waiting by the gate, wearing a bright white grin. But another fellow also lies in wait, beckoning for you to come in. Don't go in there, no, 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 no. All together now, death or ice cream. Death ice cream? Would you sell your soul for an ice cream? You can't sell the same soul twice. A soul, that's not right. Would you sell your soul for an ice cream? You can't sell the same soul twice. Or would you warm your hands in the hellfire? Or dip your feet in cold paradise? The man who's asking is waiting by the sky, wearing a bright white green robe. But you feel a tug from the other side. You're beginning to feel like Job. Don't go in there, don't go out there, don't go down there. No, 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 no. Because you shouldn't have to choose between 1, 2, 3, 4. Death or ice cream. Death or ice cream. Death or ice cream. Thank you very much.
Thank you, that was amazing. Thank you very much for joining us today. A very young looking Gareth P. Jones, I have to say. We've really enjoyed it. I've loved all the songs and I've loved your puppet assistance, and I'm sure everybody at school has. Thank you for giving us some great ideas for writing stories and for keeping our eyes open for unusual situations for story plots. So thank you for coming to Oundle virtually today, Gareth.
Thank you very much for having me. I don't know who this is. Sorry about
Thank you. Okay. Thank you to all the schools that have joined us this week as well on our new online format. I hope that you've enjoyed the online versions, and I'm going to leave you with some details about an exciting event tomorrow with author Steve Cole. I hope that some of you will be able to join us for that. So goodbye and enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, schools. Goodbye, Gareth.